it just struck me. I didn't tell you about my more conventional background. I'd worked with a geologist after the service with aerial photography, understanding how things worked under the ground, under the earth. And then I worked for an engineering firm as a project manager. And then got into commercial real estate. And for 35 or more years, I've had my own company, Commercial West Real Estate, along with a partner. Ended up being two partners, and myself. And I had always devoted myself to making everything better that I could. I've served on over 90 different boards, panels, committees, and commissions. That's a lot. I've had gubernatorial appointments, been a planning commissioner for one of the largest counties here in the metro area for 14 years, often as chairman or vice chairman, and directing the future growth, which I try to slow as much as possible, but money dictates in politics anymore, sadly. Overrides, I should say. Anyhow, I've had a lot of experiences in many ways, but I dropped out of the mainstream because I realized you can't fix things from the inside anymore. If you're going to fix things, you need to create a new system. Build it from the outside, show them how it works, and things flow easier from there. And this is one of the primary building blocks I'll be covering. May as well get into that now. Oh, that little pesky thing. Again, the lower left is the most dense. The upper right corner is the lightest frequency, physically and wavelength, and every way you measure it. From left to right is human evolution and growth. This includes intellectual, technology, and physical growth, from left to right. And from 1 to 8 up above are what we would refer to maybe as celestial growth, or angelic, benevolent. For instance, we are currently in the third realm and the third dimension as humans here on Earth. The one to the, as you go to the left too, there in that third realm, life there, as scientists have discovered, it's only a blink of light, temporarily there, it's not permanent. And you'll find much of the quantum physics describing this in detail. They've discovered these small things. They don't know enough about them yet. But that's the life form beginning to exist in the first dimension, or first dimension in the third realm. As you move into the second dimension, it's permanent. And for each one of these, there's a different DNA. The first dimension is one strand. The second dimension is 2 strands braided. Third dimension, 2 strands braided with a rod separating. And that separation is where disease happens. As we move forward into the next dimension reality, that no longer exists, so we won't be dealing with disease as we know it here on Earth. There's just so much to share. It's hard to know where to start and where to end. There's an event about to take place. Many of you have read about it, heard about it, sensed it, but it's this toroidal field. I'm going to skip ahead a moment and then come back to this. This is a toroid, or a torus. And life, where's my, I had a clicker that magically disappeared. Here it is. Yep, still works. Anyhow, you've been sensing probably that things are moving faster. Well, they have been, because we're moving down slowly through this. And we're just about here. We're going to be going into an exchange of energy, where we migrate to the next dimension. This means the physical science that governs our three-dimensional reality will be changing. It will not be constrained by this physical density we're in. At another time, when I move into the previous graphic, we'll get into a lot more detail about that. But in every dimension and realm is a higher evolution of different sciences. Each one of these cubes, like before here, each one of these squares is governed by a very specific science. And each one of them are different. And with this, hopefully you'll start to have a sense of how the angels are here, how and why extraterrestrials are here, and why some craft are solid looking, why some morph in different shape. You'll see many videos on those, and others are just pure light. I'll cover that in a bit too. Well, let's see. I'll move from here, we move into what we call angels or angelic realm, then the archangels, paired archangels, avatars, and the Godhead. Again, people use different terms for these things. They are different types of life forms. They are in their evolutionary model or mode for learning certain things in their evolutionary soul process. The first third of this 22 dimensions on the bottom, the first third is carbon-based, very dense. And as we move from left to right, that density gets lighter. Again, we are currently in the carbon-based. Fourth is silicon-based. Fifth dimension is crystalline-based. We do not move from the third to the fourth. We're paired with it, but we in the third dimension actually move to the fifth dimension. And we all leap in pairs. And every one of them makes the shift at the same time. I'm going to come back to this chart. But when you start to realize, these first 7 are carbon-based. The second third of them are plasma-based, from the most dense plasma onto the lightest plasma. And then the last third of the 22 dimensions are light-based, from the densest of light to the lightest of light. And our souls are from another place. Our souls are embedded in different locations for learning experiences. And that's what we're going to talk about here on Earth with the humans here in a second, is who and what we are here. We're vessels. We're conduits. We're in a biological, organic form that allows the soul consciousness to exist. We are part of a greater reality, who we truly are. But this is a fractal, a component of that embedded in this human body we have for a learning growth experience. And the people and things that are here for all sorts of different reasons. I think it's Drumbelow Melchizedek who speaks of the 4 primary groups, those that are of the light, of the dark, and those that are of both, and those that are of neither. And the cosmos is comprised primarily of the neither. They're merely observers. They're not participating here. This third dimension and third realm in the evolutionary process, as I've been shown and told and taught, is the most physically dense form where our consciousness, self-awareness takes place, where the sentient beings, if you will, the first time they exist is in this realm. They're not in the first or second, but only the third. And we're organic, we can move around, and we are so much more than what we think we are or what we've been taught. I'm going to skip ahead and see what I've got ahead here. I'll cover this now since we're here. The physical, if you take a look at the videos, and there are hundreds of thousands of videos on UFOs anymore, but the credible ones that have and by the way, if you have trouble with UFOs or ETs, look at the Disclosure Project. Dr. Stephen Greer, who I've worked closely with on many occasions, he has collected 500 individuals who have been heavily involved in high positions with top secret clearances, working in and with our government and military for recent decades, and have been part of these programs or have been involved in one way or another with these programs. And they want to come forward and testify before Congress about their anti-gravity devices, their research, the craft, the beings, and it's being held back from public knowledge. But anyhow, let's see here. Anyhow, the solid craft, when you see them viewed, they're from these dimensions here. The ones that just morph from one shape to another, different colors and shapes, those are the beings from this section here, the plasma arena. And those are just solid light from the even more advanced, the photonic arena. And again, I'm being taught the details of the physics of each one of these. It is amazing when you start looking at it, realizing there are physical laws that govern each, and they're showing you all these details and explaining things. What a beautiful new way to look at the big picture. But as we move forward, whoa, what was that? It's a little touchy. Now, consider this is all probably true. It would change everything. Our ancient early history would be modified to show our origins are from the stars or heavens. In the past few decades, our UFO exposure and other information regarding ET beings have been increasing monthly. Crop circles, same way. There's between 20 and 30,000 crop circles, primarily in England. But we're finding many of them in the US now. Many people are witnessing them as balls of light come in from the sky. And it appears those beams of light and interaction with the Earth are creating these crop circles. Some have even been filmed while they were being created and watched. Again, I just find this so exciting. Am I backing up again here?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, Rick. Okay, here's what we're taught about our perceptions of people. It's just pathetic. And it's up to us right now, because the fact that you're here for a very particular reason. The fact that you came to this, you're driven. There's something inside of you. And I'll cover these beings here in a bit. And more accurately, this Star Wars cantina scene, if you ever saw the movie. A great share of who are truly here would really look more like this if you would understand how things work. Pardon me?
That's how this planet is. Everybody's here.
And a friend of mine had written a book called Who's Who in the Cosmic Zoo. And I love that title because that's kind of what we're about here. I'm going to back up. Oh, by the way, as we approach this center point with speed, information from every conceivable direction is coming faster, more detailed, more clear. The science, the spirituality, the healing. Okay, now let's get into the humans here, which is our key point. Humanoids are conscious, energetic beings in the form of a torso with 2 arms, 2 legs, neck, and a head. They can be physically organic or biological like us, or they can also be photonic, plasma or light or photonic beings. Humans on our planet are a soul that's embedded in a self-conscious biological organic vessel, the container or the body. As a matter of fact, I looked on the internet for the types of beings. Every culture has their own type. And the 4 primary races on planet Earth, according to Native American tribes, elders, indigenous cultures, there are 4 types, and it has to do with the red people, the yellow people, the white people, and the brown people. And they come from different star systems. And they are here for different purposes. It's like we're a terrarium. We're here contained within the Earth's atmosphere for a growing experience. But in all of this matrix I was showing you about before, this is where it is seeded. We are the star seeds. That's why we're being referred to as star seeds. And this is where beings from all these other realms are coming to. I'll cover right now some of the people and what we are. Some are actually extraterrestrial beings. They were born on another planet and placed here. They look like us, but for this large transition event. That's why they're here. Some are human extraterrestrial hybrids. Some have been birthed aboard craft. Some have been birthed on their home planets. Some have been birthed here on Earth with government programs working with extraterrestrial beings. I've worked with a number of hybrids, and I've worked actually with both. And please don't accept my word for anything, but I'll share with you what my personal experiences have been, and you can take it from there. But I think once you've heard this, you'll keep coming back to it, because the things that I've discovered incorporate everything. They don't fly in the face of everything. You start to understand how it all makes sense now. How can all these wild, crazy things we've been hearing be true? Well, this is how. The extraterrestrial hybrids crossed with other extraterrestrial races. That's happened also. There's a group we've labeled called walk-ins. And this happened mostly back in the 1980s, early to mid-80s is when it began. And that period lasted for about 20 years. When people were about to die, through soul agreements, if you will, another consciousness, another being would come in and be housed in that body when the soul that was in that body leaves. A good friend of mine, Faith Renoli, she always preferred to be called Renoli. She had written a book about this back in the 1980s. She had a group in Denver, and they had a couple thousand people. And she said, I quit doing it because it was difficult at that time because nobody knew anything about it, and I had to teach them. She said, I'm one of those walk-ins. She said there was a frail girl, very petite blonde, and she had overdosed on drugs and was dying. And she said, I had a massive body. I was a male, a really big body, and so I was placed into this small, petite female body. Faith said I had dark hair and can't stand the word faith, too feminine, so call me Renoli. It sounded like an Italian, and that was great. She said the family had a great difficulty with this because the girl's hair color changed. She started growing. Her shoe size changed. Her eye color changed. Everything started changing. Her personality started changing. Again, these are walk-ins. And quickly, that's not how it seems to work. Angels. There are different types. There are the etheric, and there are those that have physically been placed or embodied here on Earth. Those that have not followed the constraints of the angelic realm that their souls were in, they made mistakes because they have a very specific set of guidelines or rules they have to follow. If they were sent